dedicated to my mom, my grandmother, and my aunt, who are all in the audience tonight. Tomorrow's Mother's Day, so I'd just like to say that all of your lives continuously inspire me because of all the challenges you faced and overcome, all the sacrifices you've made for our family, and everything that you've accomplished in spite of that. Sacagawea coins splattered on the kitchen counter, my tiny fingertips tiptoeing through the golden galaxy. My mother's hands pushed them into the tin can, plunk, plunk, plunk. Count my wishes as they fall. These are special, you know. Do you know who she was? I didn't. She did. My history lessons came in spurts around the house. Andrew Jackson was an asshole. Do you know what he did to the Native Americans? The trail of tears is on her face now. A mocha coffee turning to mud, but I knew before that she was black. The same muddy waters and blues on her heart, stories passed down over dinner tables, Jim Crow and the collard greens. One day, your grandmother will tell you some things. I want her to tuck these tales in sweet potatoes so I can taste the bitterness. Grandma is full of sugar, the kind that you'd ask your neighbor for a cup of. People don't do that anymore, do they? But you could ask her. You know, she'd tell you about it if you would just ask. I don't think I want to ask. I don't think I want to know what it feels like to catch your breath when a white man walks past. I don't think I want to know what Alabama grass sounds like when it crunches under feet that are running for their lives. Their lives are sitting on front steps, rubbing the grease on dry scalps, breathing to Motown, waiting for the shout from Ricky. They shot Ricky. I don't really know what a gunshot sounds like. My mother was 8 when she learned what death meant. The Bloods made a public restroom in the park home to a body without his blood. They called him Fishhead. Her smile says the sun sets on the streets too soon. I was 8 when death meant my mom next to my aunt sitting on the edge of my bed. Do you know why your auntie is staying here? Your Uncle Kevin passed away. I nod. Watch my mom grip my aunt's hand tight. You have to hold on tight. Their brownstone in Brooklyn sits on a street packed with neighbors. My mother, her sister, and 3 brothers spending summer suns on the asphalt, handball on the concrete wall behind the house, hopscotch on the sidewalk, but don't step on the crackheads. Ladies singing to the night. Ricky from across the street with a bandana around his neck, the concrete crumbling in his hands as the sidewalk slips away and the streets swallow him whole. It was rough, she tells me. Down south was rough. Grandma trading in rough for rough. Never enough to smooth away every splinter on every door in the hood. Just enough to smooth away the pinpricks from sewing all day. To smooth away the frowns on the faces she could see her reflection in at home. Grandma is always putting everyone before herself. Grandma would always have Bessemer, Alabama, and bowls of grits, the grits she gained from raising 2 sisters, from teaching herself how to read, even when the signs would never tell her when to run. Bessemer would always be in every word tucked under her tongue, especially I do. Granddad took one look and the compass spun north to a brownstone in Brooklyn. My mother pushes the coins into the tin can. Plunk, plunk, plunk. Sacagawea is a treat. The spare change she puts in a jar for me. My mother is watching my grandmother count her paycheck. The sum is a bit more than my Sacagaweas. My mother is closing the tin can. She hands it to me. We never knew we were poor. Wealth was finding a penny on the sidewalk for a cookie from the corner store. Wealth was getting a hug from both mommy and daddy in a neighborhood of 1-hug bedtimes. Wealth was something I will never quite know how to count. My mother is driving the minivan to the bank. I'm sitting in the back seat with the tin can in my lap, and she asks me, "Do you remember who Sacagawea was?"